As the 2024 golf season draws to a close, we soon turn our eye onto next year. And for some people, that may mean next year's drivers. And today we're going to discuss next year's potential Cobra driver. You see, this might upset a lot of people, but I think they've got some work to do and they might just be in trouble. Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson and welcome back to this YouTube channel. Guys, first and foremost, please make sure you do consider hitting that subscribe button if you enjoy the idea of golf videos every day. We're well on the way to 300,000 subscribers. I'd love you to be a part of it. So let's discuss Cobra drivers. Now this year, Cobra threw at us their Darkspeed driver range. Now as you can see, I have the Darkspeed LS here. I actually quite liked this driver. I liked it when I tested it. I liked it every time I see it, and you can see I've tested it well across the face and it's performed okay for me. Now, why do we think Cobra might be in trouble in 2024? Because I've done this video for TaylorMade, I've done this video for Ping, I've done this video for PXG, and I do these videos before I see the new product. Obviously, if I've seen the new product, I might try and guess but actually get it right or get it wrong on purpose and the whole video is pointless. So whenever I know what's coming, I generally sign an embargo, which means I have to keep stum. So as you can see, last year's Cobra driver, the Darkspeed, did feature loads of technology. We had the power bridge technology, we had the movable weight technology, we had that HOT face, and we also had that carbon crown. Now, I'm not going to say that this was the best driver of last year. However, I do think it was pretty good. And when I tested it against the TaylorMade, the Ping, the Callaway, and all the other drivers, I did quite like it. Now, the big issue for a lot of people here is Cobra were known for quite some time as the people's driver. They made more affordable drivers than the bigger brands. And as you can imagine, that kind of stopped. And I don't know why it stopped, because the Cobra F9 was a revolutionary club. That felt absolutely fantastic, by the way. But the Cobra 9 was a revolutionary club, and it was 100 to 150 pounds cheaper than the TaylorMade, the Titleist, the Callaway, or the Ping equivalent. They tore the market apart back then with the F9, with those vibrant colour schemes, with the yellow, with the red, and of course with those kind of little fins on top of the head. Now, they tried to keep that with the speed zone, and I think they generally did okay off the back of the F9 being good. The speed zone was still a little bit cheaper, but it wasn't as cheap as the F9. Then we saw the Rad Speed, then we saw a few other different drivers, which I don't think many people really cared too much about, to be honest. And now obviously we're here at the Darkspeed. I think my big hypothesis here is we keep the movable weights, especially in the low spin model, because I do think this is something which so many drivers, to be honest, need to have, especially if you're getting into the better players market. If I was at HQ at Cobra and it was one of my jobs or my big decision to decide on the branding, the name and everything else, I certainly would go back to some kind of F9 equivalent. I'd go back to a number and a letter, I'd go back to vibrant colour schemes, and I'd go back to what Cobra do really well. Cobra are generally quite a loud brand. Who remembers the Cobra LS drivers or the LD drivers? They were ridiculous, but I mean loud as in, figuratively speaking, loud as in bold colours, loud as in Ricky Fowler. Let's have some yellow on there, let's have some orange on there. Let's not go fully stealthed out, because I don't think that's Cobra. I don't think that's what they do very well. And I think all this hidden technology almost harms them in a sense. Head shape, I think this LS is okay. It's got that little kind of tear at the back. And for a lot of people, it might be a bit off-putting. But for me, I don't mind it. I like the low spin drivers. I really like how that's come off, because I've hit that out of the toe. And as you can see, it's gone pretty arrow straight. I also think Cobra maybe have too many drivers, too many heads in the market. So as you can see, we do have, in fact, rather than guessing, let's have a look at just how many driver heads Cobra have in their lineup, because I think it's too many. Now, it's important for me to say that this obviously isn't just Cobra. I think most brands have too many drivers, and they will cite to me that we need that many drivers because we need to make them available for everyone. We need to make sure that in custom fittings we have a driver that performs for everyone, and I get that. But if we have a look here, oh, Fox is arranging the pub, we have the Darkspeed LS, the Darkspeed X, the Darkspeed Max, and another Darkspeed LS, tall length. Now, in fairness, that's not as bad as I thought. But I don't think we need a Max and, what was the other one? Max and X. How many people will get confused between a Max and an X? personally. It's like 2 letters away, isn't it? Not that that means too much, but what I do think means a lot was that price hike post F9 driver. I think if Cobra still had the more budget-orientated driver, maybe if they reined back on the R&D a little bit, I know that sounds ridiculous because obviously they're trying to make the drivers as high performing as possible, and if we ask them about that, that's exactly what they would say. But also, they have to remember where their market was. Cobra's market was the guy who wants the driver that shockingly performs as well as the TaylorMade or the Callaway, costs them £100 less, looks pretty cool, and is a different talking point in so many people's bag. So back onto what I think is coming next year, because we spent a lot of time talking about this year. What's it going to be? Well, shock alert, I hope it's going to be yellow, it's going to have a dash of red on it, and it's going to be £100 cheaper than the equivalent TaylorMade, Ping, or Callaway. And guys, these videos are a bit of fun, so if you're interested in what you think the Cobra driver is going to be like next year, or the Titleist, or Titleist, we won't have a Titleist, we already have the Titleist, or the TaylorMade, or the Callaway, or the Ping, or whatever else is coming out, make sure you get in the comments below and let's have a little chat about what we think's coming. Because I think I've just had an epiphany, and I think I've got it. I really think I've got it. You see, the F9 was such a huge fan favourite, it was such a huge success. Bring it back. Bring it back, bring the price back. I'm sure they have the mouldings, maybe you can make the face a little bit thinner. You don't always have to set off with a brand new carcass to make something brand new, do you? Often the best sports cars, the best supercars, they go for a few iterations of the chassis and then eventually the supplier gets to where they want to go. Could Cobra do that with the F9, make the face thinner, make it a little bit more aerodynamic, maybe make it more fittable with more shaft options, but that could help them bring the price down and potentially help them have the best driver of 2025. There's more to talk about, but that was one of the best shots I've hit in a very long time, and the one I thought was out of bounds is actually okay. So positives all around. So here's what I don't think is going to happen, and here's what I hope Cobra have learnt, not just this year, but over the last couple of years when it comes to driver releases. If it has the word jet or speed or air in it, I'm out. I am literally so done. Because I feel like that's a route that Cobra went down to try and make people think that, oh, it's like the next space age technology and everything else. And I just think they almost went away from what they were good at in terms of marketing, branding and naming, because this is actually a really, really good drive. You know, I've just hit a couple of drives with it now, as you've seen, and I've really enjoyed it. And it's actually maybe before its time, you could say, because the HOT face works phenomenally well on mishits. Obviously, that movable weight technology is one of the best in the game, with a 12 gram weight and 2 3-gram rates that you can put in fade, neutral, high spin, whatever you pretty much want to. The power bridge helps you maintain ball speed on those off-center hits. The adjustable loft is as good as anything out there as well, because you can change lie angle. So realistically, what are we hoping for? Are we hoping that Cobra just bring out a carbon face? I can't see that happening anytime soon, can you? And I think of all the brands that could take a steal on the market, really leapfrog everyone and jump in front of the likes of TaylorMade and Callaway, who we all know spend probably the most money in the world on marketing, it would be Cobra, in my opinion, or maybe Ping. And the reason for that is because they've done it before and they've undercut everyone in price. Now, when you undercut everyone in price, the rest of the market goes, oh, boo, what are you doing? We're all making loads of money. But actually, you're the one going, yes, but we're also making loads of money because we're selling more drivers than you. And if Cobra do that, all of a sudden, it's almost like they're putting 2 fingers up to the other big brands. And I think people like that. I think the general public like that. They like there's more money in their pocket. They like they're still getting the latest and greatest product. What I don't like is when they release a driver like the F9, which was that kind of secondary one, which was cheaper through American Golf here in the UK and didn't have all the tech in it. Because average Joe didn't know that and thought he was getting literally the deal of the century. So there's lots of things they could do here. That is so good, isn't it? And there's lots of things that I don't want them to do. But primarily, a lot of it comes down to budget, a lot of it comes down to marketing and kind of remembering who you are as a brand. So I personally think we're going to see, hopefully, a new Cobra driver that's more in line with the likes of the F9 branding-wise, colour-wise, price-wise. And if we don't see that, I think it's a massive missed opportunity for Cobra in 2025. That is an absolute bomb. I forgot how good this was. And if you don't like the new one, buy this one, it'll be cheaper.